Hello, happy Birl Talk Friday, episode 3. We don't have Anthony today because unfortunately he's not feeling very well, but we do still have a nice agenda of stuff to talk through about in the last 2 weeks, what's been going well, what our challenges have been, some wins that we've had. So we're going to talk through, first of all, LinkedIn related stuff, go-to-market stuff, some cool wins that we've had this week and some interesting demo conversations that we've had. Then we'll talk about some events that we've been to recently. So, networking events, webinars about circular fashion, and that kind of cool stuff. Um, we've got some really cool extensions to our AI tech that's been built recently, which Pete is going to talk about. I'm really excited to hear more about this as well. And then we're going to finish by talking about our application to the eBay Circular Fashion Fund, which we got our application in early, a couple of weeks early, and they're going to be closing and choosing the winners in about a month. So, really excited to hear about that and see how that goes. Cool. So, without further ado, Pete, would you start us off with the LinkedIn slash go-to-market slash website stuff?
Yeah, definitely. I think from a personal side of it, from when Cam and I started the business, we've always had LinkedIn Premium for ourselves, and very much always tried to look at how we could use LinkedIn to help ourselves. But we've just sort of added it to Birl now as well, and it's just been really nice and seen some really good actions in relation to our following. Each week seems to be going up 3 or 4 times higher than it was previously. And some of the cool features that we've been sort of using or utilizing are the ability to see who's visited the page. So we've done quite a lot of nice go-to-market stuff recently, and we can see who's coming and using LinkedIn as a ability to sort of sound us out. And there's been some really nice contacts on there, so that's been really cool. We've all can sort of highlight some of the good works and some of the wins we've been doing recently at the top and sort of showcasing things, which is nice because I think there's a lot of noise on LinkedIn. And it's nice to really cut through and just sort of give a bit more about what we're doing now and keep it really current. And also just creating some more call to actions because as we're updating our website, we can then on our post and on our page, etc., push more people to the site to get some more information. So all in all, really recommend the premium side of things. Yeah, there's a bit of a cost to it, but nothing crazy, and it's working well for us so far. One frustration I think is that it has this really nice auto follow feature. Well, it's supposed to be nice. It's in beta at the moment where you can add 20 or 30 other companies that people follow and try and get those people to follow you as well. But as Jess can talk to, it doesn't really work very well at the moment and seems to just be keen on getting a company that has a purple background to get our followers up, which isn't relevant. Well, I don't even know what industry are you in, Jess, not even in our industry.
I think they're in digital education. It's like creating online courses. So it's pretty annoying because you can't actually choose the companies that you want it to like register, that if those people follow that company, you invite them to follow you. So it only recommends us one company, which I'm sure is a great company. Shout out to Engage Wall, but has absolutely nothing to do with our industry or our work. They just have the exact same color purple branding as us. So LinkedIn, if you see this, please can you fix that or let us know what we might be doing wrong?
Yeah. It'd be really nice and helpful to actually to have. I think that feature sounds really cool as well to be able to get those really engaged people alongside what we're doing. But other wins as well this week. We've had some really good calls with some prospects and all that effort on the outreach is coming good. And it's been quite interesting as well in terms of demoing or sort of explaining what we're doing in terms of damage returns is really different to trading. So that's been a really nice learning curve as well, and lots more discovery needed there. But the calls have been really, really good, and it's been a lot more straightforward problem because there's huge scale there, but it seems a very replicable problem that the brands have, that they all have this same problem in relation to damage returns that are costing them money and don't have anywhere to monetize it. In trading, there was a lot of more bespoke elements of what brands wanted, so it was a little bit more of a complicated integration process. But in relation to this side of it, it looks really repeatable and scalable. So it's really exciting early signs of going there, and looking forward to having more calls in the future as we understand, more about the problem at hand, as it were.
Nice. So next up on our list is the events that we've been going to recently. So there was a really nice webinar recently about returns. And because obviously we're working on the new damage returns solution, it's really interesting to get some data and insight into what brands' problems are with returns, how much stuff they're getting returned, where it goes. So it was really kind of eye-opening. And personally, I found there's the statistics were telling me that people are returning a lot more than I even assumed. Sometimes it's like 30, 50% of orders for brands. Um, and we know that a lot of the time they don't have the logistics to actually process those returns. So sometimes those returns are immediately just going to a different storage and they don't really know what to do with them. It's not necessarily what you would assume. So it was really interesting. Um, and I also went to a circular fashion panel slash networking event last week. Again, really interesting. It was kind of people from the brand side, and one woman from UKFT talking about sustainability in the fashion industry and this kind of tension that a lot of brands have between sustainability and profit, and how that kind of all plays out in the real world as opposed to the dream world that we all hope to live in, but we don't. Um, so yeah, I got
Jess,
some really good insights from that as well.
Jess,
And
just, sorry, Jess, just a quick one on the returns one. Was that from logistics returns companies? Was that sort of from a brand perspective as well? Who was the main
that was
stakeholder?
that was mainly from a brand perspective, but we also had Liam from Harper was talking there, and that was interesting as well because I think we've talked a lot about Harper and how they're trying to kind of reframe returns in a way, to avoid this issue of companies having returns sent back so late, sometimes 30 days late, that that item is already kind of out of season and they end up having to discount it massively or it's dead stock already. So yeah, some really interesting perspectives on that. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, so that's my summary on the events. It's really good just to kind of get places, meet people who are working in the industry, hear from people on the brand side, on the kind of logistics operator side and everything, and kind of build up the picture of the problem that we're really dealing with. S-
Definitely.
Yeah. So next up, um, Cam, could you tell us about the eBay Circular Fashion Fund submission that we made this week?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, something's been on our radar. It's a really, I think it's probably one of the best ones I've seen around supporting sort of startups and small businesses, ones building kind of circular fashion solutions. So anything really, I guess, extending garment life, reducing waste, making fashion more sustainable. It's a really good competition to enter. I think they'll sort of select, I think it's maybe 10 to 20, and you get a kind of $50,000 grant for the finalists. You also get a lot of access to kind of leadership within the eBay team. So really good at mentoring. Then they do like some like industry workshops with sort of cross collaboration. So lots of good partnerships. So I think there might even be a global winner. I think you might have actually submitted it, Jess. I think there's a global winner gets a really large investment from their eBay Ventures team, which is obviously becoming more and more active and something we probably chat through shortly, because that was obviously in the news recently. But yeah, really good competition. Fingers crossed. As you said, we'll submitted it this week, and we find out in the next few weeks.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And I think it's also really nice to kind of iron out how we talk about stuff as we've been collecting all this data from our demo calls, interactions with prospects and stuff. It's really nice to kind of build out the story, and set our direction and really start to articulate it very nicely, I think.
Mm. Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So the last piece on our agenda, Pete, is our new image matching backup process, I believe. Maybe to be named. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, definitely. So, as part of what we're doing in both damage returns and trading, we're working with image matching, which allows us to match a product with one image and work it against existing product listings to ensure that everything's correct when we automate our listings over to when we resell the item. And previously, if that failed and that didn't work and it came up with the wrong item, it was a bit of a problem for us. We had to restart the whole process or try and retrain the model. So we've been thinking about quite a lot with the dev team about how we can bypass that problem and alleviate the problem. So what we've now managed to achieve is we can retrain or rematch that picture. And when that happens, if it is wrong, it comes up with any other matches it can be in like a really nice table format. So we can just click the relevant image, it works it all out again. So essentially it becomes like a semi-automated process if it fails. So we're getting over 90% accuracy on it working first time, but those 1 in 10 were becoming sort of quite laborious and problematic for us. And now that only takes an extra few seconds. So it's a really nice addition to what we're doing. And then I think on top of that, we're going to try and layer a third wave of sort of matching, which would be more of a chat prompt as well. So essentially it'll be automated. Then we'll work out if we can select it from a small amount of different images, and then if that doesn't work, we can put in specifics about the product image and then work it out, and from there we'll be able to select a third wave of product from that side of things. So it's really exciting. It's really speeding up everything, and the accuracy is getting really good, and yeah, looking forward to, as we scale it out, just showing its worth and being able to sort of demo it more in the open. So yeah, big win this week for that to be live, and very much looking forward to seeing it work as we scale, really.
Oh, amazing. And props to Ed for doing that.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there anything else anyone wants to cover before we
We were
close
just
this
going to
episode?
talk about Depop getting
that'd
purchased,
be.
weren't we?
Oh, yes.
I think it's really exciting actually, because like hats off to Depop, like did make, you know, secondhand a bit more desirable for especially young people. I think 90% of their audience is still under 34, which is really cool. And I think eBay's so big that it can't do certain things that it wants to do with eBay brand itself. So I think there's going to be some exciting times of what they're going to try and do with it in relation to sort of business models and potentially trying to make it more premium in the selling space. So I'm excited to see what they do with it, and I think there's lots of technical development that eBay can do with Depop, because I think Depop's fallen behind a little bit in terms of like listing and just some of the search and stuff like that. So I think it's a really cool time for secondhand, and really excited to see how they get on with it, and hopefully they give it the effort that it requires to sort of get it going. But I saw it was actually handled by the ventures team as well, so that's quite cool in the fact that the ventures team are not only looking at small, you know, acquisitions, they're looking at these big acquisitions as well. So it's obviously a big arm of what they're doing and something they're trying to think about moving forward.
I think on that, as Pete said, I think it's generally got that kind of Gen Z, younger sort of audience, hasn't it? Depop, while eBay's a bit more traditionally people with an old demographic, so it kind of gives them access to that user base, and I think it's more sort of mobile first, sort of different UX really to eBay in a lot of ways. So I think it's an interesting acquisition for them. It makes a lot of sense. I think it's got quite a lot of growth in the US as well, so that's probably one of the angles. I think when Etsy bought it, I think it is actually a lower valuation than when Etsy bought it, but I think maybe
400 million less than difference.
Yeah, but I think it's also when Etsy bought it was probably at that kind of peak of the pandemic, COVID, and the valuations. It was really at the top of the cycle, probably of. So I don't think it is you should look at that as a negative element. I think it probably Etsy is probably a bit more of the, you know, curated, vintage, crafty kind of thing, and it's like adjacency rather than a complete strategic fit. Well, I think eBay will probably give it a better sort of integration and give it the legs to really grow. So I think it makes a lot of sense, but really excited to see how that sort of pans out. I don't know what your thoughts, Jess.
Yeah, I mean, also excited to see how it unfolds, and I think it'll be interesting for us. I mean, integrating with Depop and eBay separately, what's that relationship going to look like if we're starting to really kind of create a deeper contractual relationship with them? How are they going to interact with each other? How might we split what we're selling across different platforms? Yeah, really excited to see how it unfolds from their side, and then how we kind of decide to interact with them both.
Yeah, I wonder whether it'll become, well, whether it will stay fashion only or not, because obviously that's the big difference at the moment in terms of, yeah, it's quite a simple proposition, Depop really, whereas eBay obviously so diluted across all sorts of mad stuff. Like, you know, you always get clothing next to like some sort of lawnmower or something. So it's like, you know, it's a bit more of a mad experience, whereas Depop, I think, wins, or used to win, you know, before it sort of, and obviously Vintage, the other sort of elephant in the room, isn't it? I think one of the big challenges Depop's had is that Vintage has been such a good experience for people to list on. So it'll be interesting to see how they combat that sort of user experience. So no, it's exciting times, and hopefully there's some wins for us from it and lots of learnings as well. So
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Birl Talk. We'll catch you again in 2 weeks. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you in the meantime. So if you've got any comments, drop them below. If you want to see a demo or hear more about what we're doing, we would love to hear from you. So cool. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See you
Thanks,
later.
cheers, guys. Bye bye.